Before Bert I. Gordon landed at American International, which of course was the absolute perfect place for him to land, he had already made King Dinosaur, which was an independent, and then he did the Cyclops, which he sold to Allied artists, and he had also done Beginning of the End with Peter Graves, and that was kind of his biggest film up to that point, and Republic picked it up for distribution. That was the first movie where he really had pushed, I think, the visual effects aspect, and he was using a lot of his forced perspective miniatures with the real grasshoppers crawling across the photographs of Chicago and all of that. So he was kind of getting, I want to say, more sophisticated, but if you will, for Bert I. Gordon, kind of pushing, I think, the boundaries of the giganticism and the miniature work, which of course became his trademarks.
In the early 1950s, there was a huge wave of giant monster movies, starting with really excellent films like Eugene Lery's The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and Them, Gordon Douglas's Them. Inevitably, the lower-end studios would push to do cash-ins on these things, and Bert I. Gordon became maybe the foremost specialist in these kinds of films.
Man's rocket takeoff on an amazing voyage of exploration with a strange crew of 4 daring adventurers on board.
Bert I. Gordon's first feature as director is King Dinosaur, which is a little cheapie that was done by the Lipperts, who had done The Lost Continent and Rocket Ship XM and things like that.
We had, for the dinosaurs and the creature and other monsters, we used lizards, iguanas, Gila monsters. I found somebody, a young man, who that was his thing. He had all these different creatures. Those are the creatures that I made large on the screen for a dinosaur, you know, that chased the people around the caverns and the caves and the mountains of Hollywood.
The first film at AIP was Amazing Colossal Man, and that was actually a story that was sold to him by Forrest J. Ackerman. Of course, Universal had this tremendous success, or was about to, with Incredible Shrinking Man. So let's go in the opposite direction, which was classic AIP thinking. And the film's centerpiece is a wonderful performance by Glenn Langan, which is really what elevates the entire movie.
Who is, in the B-movie context, giving an A-movie performance. He's really, really taking this seriously and giving it his all. And also, he shaved his head for the film. That's not a bald cap. He actually shaved his head. That's a big sacrifice for a movie where he's this giant guy walking around in a kind of loincloth. But he obviously was giving it his all and took it seriously.
There he is, a 60-foot giant in the streets of Las Vegas. Look at the size of that man.
The Amazing Colossal Man is one of his best-looking movies, and the credit for that, I think, rests mainly on Joe Byrock, the cinematographer. Joe Byrock was a prolific and very, very talented DP who had shot a bunch of really wonderful movies for Samuel Fuller in the 50s. He shot a lot of Robert Aldrich's movies. And when you have a really talented cinematographer, even on a low-budget movie like that, you absolutely see the difference, especially in black and white. Amazing Colossal Man is just, it's better shot, it's more atmospherically lit. It just looks so much better all around.
It seems that many of my films had giant spiders, and they had giant grasshoppers, giant men. Each different type of creature had a problem.
One of the main ongoing problems in the effects of Bert I. Gordon's movies was the double exposures that were transparent. You could see right through them. I mean, any 6 or 7-year-old kid could see this.
And as the conclusion of the movie, after he gets loose in Las Vegas and destroys the town, is him falling off of Hoover Dam, and that's the last we're supposed to see of him. And of course, though, it was not, because he reappeared with War of the Colossal Beast.
Ready?
War of the Colossal Beast was one of these great ideas where it was, oh my gosh, we've just had a very successful movie. Now we absolutely have to revive this monster and do a sequel to it.
So I would get film deals with more money, and I used to made them with a larger budget, a month, and then finally 6 weeks, and a couple months, and that's the way it goes.
In many ways, Bert Gordon's production of the Cyclops is kind of a template for War of the Colossal Beast, primarily in the design of the makeup. The Cyclops, the makeup, and it was on the same actor, Dean Parkin, it's, if you will, more putty-like. And one eye is completely kind of grown over with flesh and what have you, whereas War of the Colossal Beast is one of the great 1950s makeups of all time. It's just absolutely iconic, with the skull exposed under the skin, the snarl, because his face has been ripped away, and this is all damage from the fall off of Hoover Dam.
I can imagine myself going back to writing all those tired old adjectives. Tremendous, gigantic, colossal. You know what they'd mean to me now, don't you? Glenn. A colossal freak major. And he's my brother.
It is a terrifying apparition. The biggest difference between War of the Colossal Beast and the previous movie, of course, is the Colonel Glenn Manning character is truly a beast. He is no longer articulate. His brain is damaged in the fall as much as his body is. He fell off of Hoover Dam. So he becomes actually a rampaging monster rather than a character of sympathy.
Glenn Manning.
As you see, he doesn't even know his name.
Colonel Manning. Colonel Manning. Colonel Manning.
The script for War of the Colossal Beast was written by George Worthing Yates. And George Worthing Yates became someone who really worked consistently with Bert I. Gordon. War of the Colossal Beast, Earth vs. the Spider, Attack of the Puppet People, and later the psychological horror film, The Ghost Story, Tormented, with Richard Carlson. Yates was the nephew of Herbert J. Yates, who of course was the founder of Republic Pictures. And he had started his writing career at Republic on serials. But he soon graduated to some rather impressive A movies at RKO, including The Spanish Main with Paul Heinried and Maureen O'Hara, and Sinbad the Sailor. So he was kind of really going up the ladder, but he I think always apparently loved science fiction and horror, and he became someone that producers at either AIP, Sam Katzman used him on Earth vs. the Flying Saucer, wrote the script for Frankenstein 1970. He and Bert Gordon obviously got along very well. So he ended up starting in one place, and he really found a comfortable niche through the 50s with a great deal of genre credits.
Hold your fire! Head him away from the planes with tear gas!
Anesthetic would do better than tear gas.
Get some here on the double. Captain, get reinforcements.
What are you going to do to him?
I don't know, but I can't let him loose among a million people.
Are you going to have to kill him?
If it comes down to it, I will. I'm responsible for the lives of others
Don't,
first.
Please,
Him
don't,
second.
Don't, please.
Sergeant!
Don't.
See that Miss Manning gets back to her hotel and stays there.
It was all about the come on and not really the delivery. For instance, in War of the Colossal Beast, you have this gorgeous poster art by Reynold Brown on the half sheet and the one sheet. And on the half sheet it says, "See a 60-foot beast destroyed in color." This is 1958. American International made several films that year. War of the Colossal Beast, I Was a Teenage Frankenstein, and How to Make a Monster. And they all talked about these incredible climaxes in color. And the reality was the movies were in black and white with about 40 seconds or a minute of color at the tail end. So you have in War of the Colossal Beast, the beast kills himself by tugging on some power lines, and he's electrocuted. But it's literally like 40 seconds of the movie. But they could legitimately say it was shot in color.
And it's glorious sparks and his horrible yell that and he's holding on to this thing, and you see it all flashing in yellow and red and what have you. And rather than exploding, he kind of fades away, is just disintegrated into some sort of electric sparking dust, I guess. I don't know, but that was really up to Bert I. Gordon. But that was what they decided to do, rather than have him either blow apart or just collapse there up at Griffith Park, where he had been trapped and was terrorizing a group of kids with a school bus. War of the Colossal Beast was actually released with another Bert I. Gordon film.
Which is effectively a kind of reworking of Dr. Cyclops, the wonderful old science fiction movie with Albert Decker as a scientist who shrinks a group of people and torments them, and how they eventually outsmart him.
But the loss of love has made this mild-mannered man into a maniac who wants to make you a plaything. And the fearsome fact is, he knows how to do it.
The effects on Attack of the Puppet People are considerably better than his earlier films, not just with the use of oversized props like an oversized phone and things like that, but also in terms of the opticals. They're much sharper and much clearer, and it's just an all-around better looking film.
Deep into caverns whose very air is putrefied by the stench of death, they search ceaselessly for a missing man, or possibly a giant spider no one really believes exists.
And this was, again, American International looking to Universal. What are they doing? We're going to counter. Universal had Tarantula. We're going to have Earth versus the Spider. The biggest difference with Earth versus the Spider is the central characters are teenagers. Which is probably the great contrast between American International and what they were doing at this time and what Universal was doing.
Is essentially kind of a teen version of Jack Arnold's Tarantula. There's some interesting props in it by Paul Blaisdell, who worked on the effects as well, who had created the giant syringe for Amazing Colossal Man. Blaisdell was American International's resident monster specialist who created the She-Creature and the Venusian for It Conquered the World and a lot of other great 50s science fiction monsters.
And there had always been talk kind of actually a miniature kind of facial appliance almost that they tried to put onto a living tarantula so it would crawl towards the camera with this completely different looking face, almost human-like, almost like the Xanthi Misfits from the Outer Limits. That did not pan out too well, although Bert gave it a try.
That shrinks every woman's skin with the tension of terrifying withdrawal, as if 1,000 spiders were taking possession of her body.
Bert Gordon was consistently interesting from a career standpoint, I think, because when he would, say, stop working for a particular company like American International, he went back to his roots as an independent producer-director. Then he decided also to step away from horror completely and went for adventure. Kind of Bert Gordon, if you will, his stepping into the world of Ray Harryhausen and Charles Schneer.
I just kept going, each film, larger budgets, and made pictures for, like, right now MGM has 7 of my films, Warner Brothers has 2, and that's the story of my life, my film life.
Bert I. Gordon, like any prosperous, effective exploitation filmmaker, knew that he had to zero in on trends, whatever trends were popular at the time, and change with them from decade to decade to decade. So when giant movie monsters were hugely popular, he would make giant monster movies.
Bert I. Gordon and American International, this was kind of their kismet, that he was the perfect director to try and make these movies that hinted in their content and sometimes succeeded in, if you will, approximating what the ad campaign was.